Hello everybody and welcome back to the Donkey Punch Central 2010 Awards. What we're going to be doing now is, as you just watched, hopefully, unless you fell asleep, we just inducted...
Which you probably did.
Well, you know, we're kind of long-winded and we've kind of found this out. As if we didn't know before. We inducted the Final Fantasy series, the entirety of the Final Fantasy series, into the Donkey Punch Central Hall of Fame as sort of a lifetime achievement sort of thing for the whole series. What we're going to be doing now is each one of us is going to be inducting 5, just like we did last time, 5 video games of our choice also into the Donkey Punch Central Video Game Hall of Fame. We had a couple of guidelines for this. I mean, it was pretty straightforward. It was any game, any system. Could have been a computer game that you play on Newgrounds if you really wanted to.
Yeah, just a game.
Just any game, any system, no matter what it was. Yeah.
I think the only criteria we really had was it has to be at least 5 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's instant classics and stuff. There's a bunch of games that I would consider an instant classic,
right.
but I think we decided a while back that it has to be at least 5 years old.
Right. Like, I mean, you could have had a bunch of people doing this that might have inducted Modern Warfare 2. Not saying Modern Warfare 2 wouldn't belong there, but, I mean, it's only been out for, what, 2 years, 3 years?
Or a Halo, Reach.
2 years.
Or, you know, whatever. 2 years.
2 years. Also want to make note that we now also have a new sponsor. Our sponsor is Tony's Pub. Anthony Cormier of Halifax, Nova Scotia is probably the only other person that's going to be watching this that might get the joke. Not really a joke. This is Mr. Tony Cormier's dorm room in university. We decided to anoint it Tony's Pub, showing some respect to Tony's Pub. Now that that's out of the way.
Never been there, heard it was a good place. I gotta get, hold on a second.
What? Where'd it go?
I'm on my heater.
Oh, nice.
My mom's
so I almost
about
burnt the place down. That's okay. So
right.
Tony's Pub and Eatery, mad ups to you. So I'm going to let this guy get it started, because I did the intro. What's your first game?
So remember, this isn't really in order or anything, just 5 games. And my first one is a Super Nintendo game called Ogre Battle. March of the Black Queen, I think the full name was, but whatever.
I think so.
It's Ogre Battle. And this was a game. It was really original. You know, it was a strategy RPG where you pick, you have a lead or whatever, and you have different like units or whatever, and it's basically you gotta start at your castle, deploy your units, and go take over other towns, and then eventually get to the enemy base and kill the boss and stuff. And, you know, the game was really slow moving, because, I mean, you watched your guys slowly walk through the battlefield, but you know what? It was never boring. You were so invested in it.
And like chess.
Yeah, and there were so many secrets in that game that I don't even know, but so many different things, like, you know, all depended on, like, if you go in more evil route, you might not be able to get one character to join your team and whatever, and different items that transform your units into things, and just so many different character classes, from the undead to wizards to Amazons, knights, like angel thing. You know, it was, you know, this. It was just cool.
Yeah, I played Ogre Battle too. Ogre Battle is really fantastic. One of the few strategy games that I really, really, really enjoyed playing.
So good.
I think I've only ever played like the first 2 levels, because that's as far as I ever got through. But no, Ogre Battle, absolutely. 2
things. Give a shout out to my older brother, because he loves Ogre Battle, and he may have actually introduced me to it. It was one of the few like RPGs he really, really loved.
Okay.
So, Chris, hello. You might watch this.
I'm sitting in your chair.
And the other thing is, another thing about the game is the battle system. On paper, it doesn't seem like it would work, because all you do in the fights, you know, you have your team, and depending on if they're in the back or front row, they have different attacks, and they can only attack so many times, and then the fight's over. So the game kind of goes to the judges, and depends on how much damage is done. Now that's fine, but you don't actually control them.
Right.
all you do is you can choose, I think, 4 different options of like whether your team attacks the leader, or the strongest, or the weakest, or whatever. But then you just watch them fight.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem, that kind of would bore some people, but it was really fun because you could eat some popcorn during that game. You'd be like, go to this town, go to this town, go to this town. All right, you're in a fight. Just eat some popcorn. You had a lot of time to eat popcorn during Ogre Battle. And it was still just a long game. Some missions would take you over an hour.
Yeah.
Which sucks if you couldn't save. But with emulators you can.
Yeah, exactly. God bless whoever created emulators.
Yeah,
by the
you
way.
nerds are awesome. Alright,
Cool.
so that's this Ogre Battle. Check it out if you haven't. And there's a bunch of different ones. There's a Nintendo 64 one. That one's fun. Just find out. Tactics Ogre, though I've never played that. Ogre Battle.
Alright, so Ogre Battle. You are officially in the Donkey Punch Central Video Game Hall of Fame.
Yay!
I'm going to stick with Super Nintendo. I'm going to stick with one of my absolute favorite racing games of all time. This is F-Zero. F-Zero, futuristic sort of racing game. Doesn't have a big, grand story behind it. It has some story that I never really paid a whole lot of attention to because I wanted to get to racing.
Yeah.
Very sort of bare bones racing game. You only have 4 cars that you can pick from. It's basically like a race between 4 people, and then there's just ping pongs, basically, is the rest of it that just try to get in your way. The sides of the racetrack are magnetized. If you run into the side of the track, you are in trouble.
You're going to have a bad time.
You're going to have a bad time. I knew we were going to toss it in there somewhere. Props to the South Park episode from... oh my god, where was it?
I don't even remember.
I don't know.
It was funny. South Park's funny.
South Park's hilarious. New sponsor. But F-Zero, like I say, probably one of my favorite racing games of all time. It was just a lot of fun. I was never any better than getting through the Night League. The Night League is basically like easy, because it was the tracks that I knew. You try to race any of the other ones, either Queen's League or King's League, I just get destroyed. Like there's no getting around it. But such a great time playing F-Zero. It's one of those things you just pick up and play. You pick up, you play, you have a good time. You can do 2-player on it if you want to. Oh yeah.
I didn't even know you could.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
So you can do 2-player on it. All kinds of fun. 10 pounds of fun in a 5-pound bag. So F-Zero, you are inducted to the Donkey Punch Central Video Game Hall of Fame.
And I don't know if you actually said it, but the game's really fast.
Yeah, absolutely. No.
Very fast racing. I think that's the fun of it. I mean, yeah, like you said, very bare bones. There's nothing to it. By standards of today, maybe it's not. It's still fun. I mean, we played it not too long ago.
No.
Again, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's F-Zero. It's fast.
They attempted a couple of remakes, I think, on 64 that weren't totally successful. But one of them was okay.
Has some cool music.
Yeah, the music in F-Zero is
nice.
fantastic. Exactly.
Right.
So F-Zero, you're in the Hall of Fame. Number 2.
All right. So I don't do another RPG in a row. I'm gonna do a Nintendo game, and a Nintendo game that I've rented so much.
Regular Nintendo?
Yeah. Regular Nintendo.
We're absolutely dating ourselves with these, but that's okay.
Super Dodgeball. And if you've never heard of it, that's okay. It's a dodgeball game, But,
It's got Super in the name.
Yeah, it's got Super, which is kind of misleading because games with Super in it are usually Super Nintendo.
That's true.
So it's kind of misleading, but I assure you it's a Nintendo game. Anyway, basically all it is it's a dodgeball game. You travel the world, you play other countries. But the cool thing about it is that each character has a special move. So you can, all you gotta do is you run and then you throw the ball, and depending on who it is, it might be like a homing ball, or it turns into a really fast thing that cuts through. And
nice.
I mean, there's that. I mean, it's just a dodgeball game, and then there's like a free mode where you the ball gets thrown on the ground, and then a whole bunch you got to run for it and pick it up and hit each other. Oh, nice. Simple game. I know there's fans out there, and I saw